know, for 50% or even less of what it would cost to buy solar panels. But you can't use those because they're not UL certified. Right? So they do that because most people don't get into solar because it actually costs way too much. It costs, you know, a standard suburban home is going to require $20,000, $30,000 investment to create solar panels that is going to provide you with all your electricity that you need to run your computers and your TVs and your hot water heaters and your air conditioning and your heating. You know, it's just really not realistic. It's really not doable. But if you build them yourself, even though it's still not really realistic, it's way more realistic. Or have somebody you know build them for you. It's that certification. You know, it's this huge thing that requires all this extra money and process, makes it expensive, makes it inaccessible.
And they say that's for safety too, right?
Right. Of course, that's for safety too.
It's in your best interest.
Right.
Right. It's all in your best interest.
Why you can't put something on your own house?
Right. You're an idiot. You're completely and totally incapable. You're stupid. You know, you're mentally, void of any reasoning and logic and, any self-preservation. And you have to be told and taught and, controlled and everything. Otherwise, you're going to kill yourself. Well, there actually are a lot of people like that. Unfortunately, that's actually not too far from the truth, oftentimes. But why are people like that? Well, people are like that because they're treated that way every day. They're conditioned that way every day. That's the only reason people are like that. So this is going to, start going into the whole new paradigm education reality. So I won't go too far down into that. We'll stick with the housing. But the reality is that the new paradigm housing, is safer and better in every single way to this, which is the standard traditional housing that exists in the United States of America, the most civilized and advanced country in the world. You're not allowed to put windmills oftentimes on your house because it's an obstruction or a nuisance or blah, 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 blah. They don't allow any structures to be built without concrete foundations. They don't allow, structures to be built unless there's certified, test results, blah, 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 that show that it can take this much load, blah, 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 and there's all these things. You can't put electricity in unless it's codes, blah, 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 blah. Right? They make it real complicated on purpose. It's just like the medical system, it's just like the law system. It's actually all very easy, and they make it extremely complicated on purpose. They make the most important things the complicated things. So the housing, your health, your relationship with law, right? Those are all some of the most simple and obvious things, and yet they're made complex so that the average person is like, oh, well, I can't build my own house. That's like, I need 6 years of college for that. That's like, oh, wow, wow, wow. I can't possibly know how to defend myself in court. Oh, I can't possibly stand up for my rights. I mean, I need a lawyer for that. Oh, I can't possibly be healthy. I couldn't possibly know what good food is. I couldn't possibly know what's good for my body and what's bad for my body. I need to go to a doctor. I need some pills. I mean, that's like extremely disconnected from the truth. And the truth is actually extremely simple. This type of housing is, it's not a light task. You don't want to just, frivolously go about it. It requires intense planning. It does require certain skills, some access to materials and blah, blah, blah. There's definitely an awareness that has to take place there, but it's not something that is too complex or too sophisticated or too difficult for an average person to be able to comprehend and be able to implement. Right? It is accessible. It is practical. So what I'm saying is that this is real and this is true. And this is also real and this is true. But see, this is better in every single way. And what we're doing here in the Garden of Eden is we're going beyond the talking. Right? This is just a little surface exposure. This is, it's a free event. This is just to expose to you. This is to get the word out. This is to let you know that this is possible in comparison to this, and that we on a daily basis are cultivating realities that are in alignment with this, and we're documenting it, and we're sharing it with the people. So I'm talking about it right now, but what I'm really doing is I'm actually living it, and I'm building it, and I'm doing it. And we're doing it in many, many, many ways. One of the ways is we're doing it with housing. So the first way we're starting is we're taking this building here, which, we love this house. we love this house, but it's completely unsustainable. It's totally inefficient. It's really, really hot in the summertime, and it's really cold in the wintertime. Right? We haven't used heat in 6, 7 years here. We haven't used air conditioning in 6 and 7 years here. Now, that in and of itself is really badass, and there's some really cool things about that. One is that I have learned to completely and totally adapt my body to the climate. So if it's cold out, my body generates more chi, and I wear a hat and I wear some socks and maybe I wear 2 pairs of pants, and I'm fine. Even though it's 40 degrees inside the house, I'm still fine. Same thing in the summertime. It might be 100 degrees outside and it might be 95 degrees inside, but I'm still fine. I might not wear a shirt, I might sweat a lot, but I'm still fine. I mean, I haven't been hot in 4 or 5 years because my body adapted.
But you smile.
I smile, exactly, and I'm healthy. I don't get heat stroke, I don't get heat exhaustion, I don't get dehydration. Sometimes in the summertime, when I'm sweating all day long and even all night because it's 90 degrees inside, and so I have to sweat even to sleep, like sometimes I'll go 24 hours without peeing because there's no excess water. But I still don't get dehydrated because I'm able to keep myself still fully hydrated. So, that adaptation is really cool. But what I'm talking about is actually being able to build a house or modify a house to where you don't need heating or cooling, but it's comfortable, so that you don't have to do that if you don't want to do that. I think it's amazing, and every other animal on Earth does it, but we don't have to do it. We don't have to do it. So we're gonna modify this house, and we're going to make it so that in the wintertime it's warm without any heating. We're going to make it so that in the summertime it's cool, without centralized air conditioning. We're going to modify it so that it is producing all the electricity that we use, and so that we are harvesting all the water that we use, so that it will be pretty hard to modify it so that it would last for thousands of years and be totally earthquake and tornado proof. But we can modify it for it to be structurally way more sound, for it to last much longer, and we can upgrade every single aspect of this house. So we're starting with that. We're modifying this whole house because the reality is that there's millions and millions and millions of homes that already exist that people own, that people are living in. And they're already built. The resources have already been spent. And so to just knock them all down and start over isn't really that sustainable either. So the implementation and the modification of a pre-existing home is actually a much more viable approach as of right now, because we've got millions and millions of homes in the United States that already exist. So we're going to show how to create passive solar hot water heating systems that heat all of your own water. Just with the sun, you heat all your own water. So you've gotten rid of your electric or gas hot water heater. And this is a big part of living sustainably, because it's not just about getting $50,000 worth of solar panels so that you can consume all this energy. It's about getting rid of all the things that consume most of the energy. So if you live in Texas, you're spending $700 to $1,000 a month on air conditioning, just air conditioning in the summertime. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Unless you're living in a trailer, or some real tiny little space, $700 to $1,000 is not that uncommon in a suburb house.
Per month?
Yeah, per month. In the middle of the summer in Texas in a suburban.
Well, yeah.
In a suburban neighborhood.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Houses here are big.
yeah, and hot water. I mean, people are spending mass amounts of money heating hot water. Baths and showers. A lot of people take showers every single day. The average shower is 30 gallons of water. So 30 gallons of water, and that's not all hot water. It's maybe half hot water. So 15 gallons of hot water. That's a lot of energy. So we can get rid of all that energy that's required to heat water by using passive solar. And as long as you have sun, it doesn't matter how cold out it is, you can preheat water, if not get it hot. especially in the less cold months. And then we're going to show other systems. Maybe you live in a really cold climate. We're going to show how to preheat the water with solar, and then if there is no solar, how to heat it with a stove. So we can take a wood-burning stove, for example, that's already heating the house or already heating the room, and we can run tubing through that fire that's heating that water, and then that water can be used to take your showers, to take your baths, to do your laundry, to do your dishes, and it can also be stored in tanks to give off radiant heating, or it can be pushed through floors, right, to heat your flooring, which then heats your house. So there's all sorts of ways that we can heat a house and our water and whatever it is that needs heating without money, without spending money for it, without being tied to a grid or to a system. We can do it independently and sustainably and efficiently. Once a house is modified to not need heating or cooling, that's a huge chunk of